I'm going to play this video from Wall Street Silver. This exemplifies a lot of what's going on in this country. It ties in with immigration and crime. Here's a man. It's about a guy who bought his groceries and what he's dealing with. And I think many people can relate to this. He can't afford his groceries anymore. He struggles to feed his kids. Check this out.
Am I the only one that feels like they just can't do this anymore? I just got back from the grocery store. Let me show you what I bought. This is all I purchased. That's it.
Talkies.
This is dinner for tonight. A few snacks for my kids they wanted. And dinner for them tomorrow night, the pizza. That's it. Some veggies. I didn't even buy the organic stuff. I bought the cheapest stuff. Bought stuff that was on sale. There's a few things I am picky about ingredients, such as the tomatoes, but that's it. Everything else was the least expensive stuff. Take a guess. Take a guess at what it costs. And you're probably wrong. $123. $123 that
I was
was
gonna
with
say
all
over
my
$100 for
discounts
sure.
for barely 2 nights of dinner. Barely 2 nights. I remember when I could spend about $120 and get groceries for a whole week, and that was breakfast, lunch, and
Not
dinner
very long ago, too.
for all of us. And $123 is going to get me through the next 2 days. I can't do this much longer. Financially, I can't. I don't want to spend the money, but it's also just killing me. And I make decent money, so something's got to give here.
So here's my question. Why should this man pay the bill for the criminal aliens who brought their kids to this country? And we say it's not the kids' fault. They were 6, 7 years old. And I respected that argument maybe 8 years ago. But now we are no longer at the point of being capable of dealing with this. And so this guy, he's American. This country, he inherits, same as all of us.
Yeah.
He has children who will inherit it after him. He's struggling to feed them, even though, as he says, I make good money, but it's $123 for 2 nights of dinner.
Yeah.
And what happens is these people rush our border and think, I will steal as much as I can from the hardworking Americans. I will gut their system and take for myself because I don't care about them.
Yeah.
I don't care about their community. I want. Yeah. So I am done with the argument that, oh, but these children here, they can't be deported because their parents are at fault. And I'm like, you're right. The child should blame their parents.
Yeah.
When ICE politely comes to them and says, I'm sorry, son, we are struggling. We have fathers and mothers and their children are struggling to eat. I wish we could help you, but we are pushed to our limit. What we're going to do is we're going to find you comfortable transportation back to your home country, and they're going to have to figure it out for you. If you're mad about this, blame your parents.
Well,
Absolutely.
and blame your government for making
not-
making a nation where you don't feel like you can survive comfortably and safely in your nation.
Well, absolutely. And it's not this kid's, his kid's fault. This is going on.
But this
so if we were talking about the poor kids, what about his kids? Where his dad's struggling to feed them? I mean, we have to think about American children.
Yeah, and this has been happening to everybody, and it's been happening for a few years. I remember watching this happen with my own grocery bill, where it would be like, oh, I'd spend $50, I'd get a ton of stuff,
and
then the next time I'd spend $75, and so the next time I'd put a bunch of stuff back, and I'd end up spending $125 for less
it's
stuff,
impossible to get
less expensive stuff, like buying meat.
Here's what we should do. I think we should do this here at Timcast, and maybe someone on the SCNR team. We will put together a basic grocery list: 1 gallon of milk, 1 carton of eggs, 1 loaf of bread, and then what else would be reasonable?
Like the Sesame Street one.
Maybe like a small thing of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Stick of butter.
And then
veggies.
A stick of butter.
Carton of milk.
And maybe like a salad and a meat. I think it's important to get
some veggies.
Yeah. And then what we'll do is every week we will write down the price of these goods.
Oh, like the government does that. But they're not really doing it very accurately these days.
So we will just say, here in our local area, we have this list, and every week we go out and buy one of these items.
People on the Discord should do it. Get like a mass reporting of all over the place.
People should do it all over the country. We could have a map. It'd be cool.
You could do it with your app.
That would
with
be,
the Timcast app, if you could scan a thing and put it into the database.
Be really cool.
Actually,
that's a very good idea.
Update the data.
No, an app where people can list the price of a good. Then you can track down the cheaper prices.
Because if you scan the barcode, it would just overwrite
I don't
the
know
old
that it
data.
exists for groceries.
It does exist for
but not for
consumer items
groceries,
like computers and stuff. I know you can do that. I don't know about.
So if this does not exist, someone make it and you're rich. An app where it shows you all the local grocery stores, and when you go to the grocery store, you can scan a price from the store and upload it up to the app. then other people who are at home can type in I want milk and see which one has the cheaper prices.
I like it. If it doesn't exist, it should. You're right.
But you'd have to update it because if they
You'd have
sold
to have
out,
the data. It'd all be about the data.
and then
yeah.
a bunch of people went to get the cheap milk, but it was already sold out from the last three people.
No. It would say milk $1.99 as of. Last update was this time.
The grocery stockers are going to be mad. They're going to be like, "Oh my gosh!"
No, I
happening?
think the grocery stores will use it and compete with each other.
No, I mean the stockers. They're just going to be like, "This is madness." Yeah.
Why would they care?
Well, they have to restock everything when people come in and they know
Oh,
exactly
sure,
the
I
price
guess,
of
but
everything. But yeah.
you'd end up with the supermarket saying, "Hey, how come we're not selling any milk?" It's like, well, because there's a grocery store a mile down that's selling it cheaper, and people are using this app. Grocery stores would load the app, look at neighboring prices, and then lower theirs, and their staff. The manager at the grocery store would be like, "Hey, we got carrots cheaper than they do."
Why doesn't it happen with gas though? We already have apps like that, and they're not like the prices.
This grocery store app must exist.
I know it must, right? It exists for other things,
other
like if you go to like Walmart and those types of things you're looking
you
at.
can find your computer, your random whatever.
You can scan that stuff and it'll show you, but I don't know about for basic goods, and there's probably a reason why, but I can't think of it.
Apparently, there's 3 of them. This is
there. You go. See,
best
okay.
Flip
Thank you.
with 2 P's. Apparently, is pretty good.
Okay.
Grocery King.
Okay,
Another
cool.
one is number 2, and number 3 was Instacart.
Instacart. I'd even really just
Instacart
like
shows
a map.
neighboring supermarkets and like compares their prices.
These are the 3 that came up about grocery store price
It
comparison.
makes sense for their margins, I guess. They'd have to.
There you go.
What did you say? The last thing you said?
I'd want just even a map of the cost of everything and a chart showing how it's going up and down over time.
Yeah,
I'd be
just
interested
like an
in that
inflation on basic
because
goods.
you keep having, like the Washington Post and other outlets saying that inflation isn't even really happening, or you had when Janet Yellen was saying that inflation was transitory, and you have all of this spin about inflation and grocery prices. And meanwhile, we all know, right? Like the people who go to the grocery store and buy food for their kids and look at the prices, you can see how much they're going up. You can see that a carton of eggs is like $8.
Yeah, it's so insulting when these elites like say that.
At a certain point, if a default lib has not realized they're being lied to, there is no saving them. Inflation is transitory. I remember that. That was years ago.
Right.
And it's not. Nope. And it's gotten worse.
Yep.
I love when they're like, inflation's cool. I'm like, yes, but the prices are still up. And then Biden goes, we know these companies are making the boxes smaller. Knock it off. It's like, dude, because that's inflation. They can't just stop doing that.
He said that with gas too. He's like, well, why don't they just lower the price then? The gas station should just lower the price.
And if you're dumb enough to be like, yeah, Biden's right. Well, there's no helping you.
Yeah,
that's not helping a lot of people, sadly. Yeah.
That's sort of the issue that we're facing in this exceedingly long general election. Is there anyone who could conceivably be swayed from one side to the other? Whose votes are they really fighting over? Or is it really just fighting over how many people or how many votes, how many people each candidate can get out to go to the polls?
It's voter turnout, yeah. I mean,
and it's got to be voter turnout in what, 5 states? It's literally voter turnout in 5 states.
And it's only in the ones that you have a chance to swing it. Yeah.
Lauren Chen asked a question. She did a Twitter poll. Mm-hmm. It's a famous question. You probably already know it. And the question is, if you did not eat breakfast yesterday, how would you feel? And the choices are, I did eat breakfast, I don't know, hungry, and show results. 18% said, I did eat breakfast. 13% said, I don't know. I think 20-something% said hungry, and then a decent amount said, show the results. The point is, it's part of an IQ test question, because people who are of lower IQ would answer, I did eat breakfast. And that shows that they could not entertain a hypothetical.
They couldn't handle the question.
The problem I have with the question is I don't eat breakfast ever.
Right. A lot of people don't.
Yeah. So
fasting.
Right. So the question, I understand the point of the question. The answer is like you give it, you entertain the hypothetical. Mm-hmm. My response would be, I don't eat breakfasts.
Yeah, it's not an option.
So I would feel the exact same.
I would feel the same as I do now, yeah.
But that answer is acceptable because the answer is, did you understand the hypothetical? Mm-hmm. Lower IQ people don't understand the hypothetical and typically respond with, but I did eat breakfast. You go, right, but what if you didn't? But I did eat breakfast.
So how could
those are Democrat
you
voters.
feel?
Right.
Yeah.
How could I possibly imagine something other than the reality that existed?
But that's not
right.
Yeah.
And then there's the super brain where they're like, I reject the premise of the question entirely. They just
leave a
refuse to
reply.
participate.
They just
So it's
leave
like
a reply.
when the brain is fully lit up. They're like, not only can I entertain it, I can also choose to not answer the entertainment because I disagree with the question itself.
Actually, that's the midwit response.
I don't think so.
It is.
It takes a strong mind to be able to not answer a question the way it's presented to them.
That's actually the midwit response. I'm not making a joke, and I'm not being insulting. I'm not being silly. People of slightly above average intelligence think deconstruction is a sign of intelligence, but it's not. So actually what you'll see with people who are lower intelligence is they can't entertain the hypothetical. Average to slightly above the midwits will be like, well, actually, let me say this about your question. And then smart people instantly understand, they don't waste time. They say, hungry.
Oh, well, I'm saying if I scrolled and I saw, if you murdered a person yesterday morning, how would you feel? I would just scroll right past it because I'm third level. I don't even entertain.
We're not talking
I see
about
it, I entertain, I can visualize it, and then I move on.
That's not what we're
But if
talking
you
about.
didn't eat breakfast yesterday, why would you be hungry? Did you also not eat lunch or dinner? Or breakfast today?
The point of the question is your answer isn't multiple choice in real life. It's, do you understand the hypothetical?
Yes.
So my response to that is like, well, I don't eat breakfast, so I'd feel the same. But you're answering the hypothetical.
Right.
I would feel the same as I always do. Versus the midwits tend, like this is what we see often with woke people. They're midwits. Midwit does not mean stupid. It means their IQ is about it means their IQ is 110. They're slightly above average. And because they're slightly smarter, they think of themselves very highly, but they're actually not that smart. So when it comes to a simple question, a smart person says, efficient answer. What's the point? A stupid person says, I don't understand. And a midwit gives you a long, elaborate waste of time. It's kind of like leftist memes. Verbose, full of text, and pointless.
Those are amazing.
Whereas
they take forever.
you have very, very, very intelligent people who are like, I get the joke. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Why am I wasting anyone's time? They're smart enough to realize, like, I get it. You know, and I'm sure everybody has dealt to a certain degree with this, where you're talking to someone who thinks they're really smart, and they will, no matter how many times you go, I get it, I get it, I get it. They just keep saying it over and over again because they think
Trans women are women.
They think they're smarter than you, and they'll say something and you go, I understand what you're saying. I reject your argument on these grounds, and go, no, you don't get it. You see, the thing is, you're like, right.
No, I get it.
Right. That's what we're dealing
Talking
with.
to an average leftist, yeah.
So I think I'd be willing to bet that the average in IQ, not that I weigh IQ all that much because it's hard to know exactly how they're administered, but I bet if there was a universal metric that was like a standardized, you can say IQ, Democrat voters probably skew slightly lower than conservative Republican voters, but not by much. It's probably like 99 to like 101 or something. However, when I'd be willing to bet that if you got into the core of prominent personalities on the right versus the left, because the right includes academics, it includes post-liberals, libertarians, you'd probably see higher intelligence, reasoning, comprehension, spatial math, etc. And among the leftist personalities, they'd be midwits. They would not be stupid, but they'd be lying.
Interesting.
What do you think about, what about voters versus non-voters, or, main party voters like Republican, Democrat versus third party voters?
I don't think you'd see a distinction.
None.
There's a lot of really stupid people who are, just like, I'll vote. And there's a lot of smart people who are like, I don't see a point in voting. Your view on whether or not to participate in a first past the post electoral system, I don't think is indicative of how smart you are. Dave Smith was saying the other day that he thinks the system is busted, and he's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
Well, the system is
I was thinking
busted.
I was thinking non-voters would be actually a little bit smarter.
I do too. I think that if you're obsessed about your one vote, then you're missing the point. You got to manipulate crowds of people to vote the way you
I remember
want.
there were posters like up when I went to school at UC Santa Cruz, very leftist place, but there were these posters that somebody posted everywhere, and it was like arguing don't vote. It was like, don't vote, it's pointless. And they were like, they posted it like everywhere. And I was like, that's interesting. I didn't really think about it much because I was a dumb college kid. But
the sort of thing about not voting is like, not voting is saying that you are not going to, show your consent to a governmental system that you don't agree with.
maybe there could be so many
Or that you
reasons to
don't
not vote. You
believe
could
in.
just be lazy,
Right,
but,
sure.
but if you have a real reason,
sure.
yeah,
I mean, but then the whole thing with like get out the vote. You remember when
vote or die? How about that? Remember that?
there was like Paris Hilton was get out the vote and all of this stuff. So you end up with this get out the vote situation, and you end up with a lot of low information voters who go out and don't necessarily know anything about the candidates that they're voting for.
We need to make it as hard as possible to vote.
I think there should probably be voter ID. I didn't used to think that, but I do think that now.
Maybe like a basic test.
No, there should be
Like-
voter pole vault.
Voter poll vault.
Yeah, if you can't get over at least, look, I don't know.
I'll
something
never
small,
vote again if
5
there's voter poll vault.
5 feet.
You can only vote, but you got to swim to the bottom of the pool, and then you got to vote while you're down
pick
there
up your
holding your
ballot
breath.
down there. Like that's where the pen
And then
is.
you got to climb the rope to the top of the tree house.
No. Your ballot is 100
but
meters
the pen
underwater.
is up in the tree, so then you got to get the ballot, and then you only have
answer some
30
basic
minutes.
questions.
It's an American Ninja Warrior course.
We're led by geniuses.
The
How many
pen,
genders are there?
the pen is taped to the side of the spider wall. So you're like going through, and then you grab the pen, and then you find the pad of paper, but you got to swing to the top to get it. You got to do the salmon ladder to actually put it in the box, and then to hit submit, you've got to make it to the end.
And then you hit the big red button.
There would
and it
be
submits
like
your vote.
there would be like I don't know 10,000
10
voters.
people voting.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, they,
Bunch
so
of
there'd
people
be
would die. They'd be like,
registered.
50 people died voting today.
Would you call them like registered? People would register to vote, but then it was up to them if they could succeed. They registered for the course.
I
but
got a
then
better
it's like,
idea. It's not American Ninja Warrior. It's MXC. Remember that?
No.
No, what's MSNBC?
That was the really. It was this really silly version
extreme.
where people would dress up like samurais or like hot dogs.
Most
trying to-
extreme elimination challenge.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And it was like people dress up in weird things and like try to run across.
It was 2003 to
Got it.
07.
Slippery stairs.
Spike
Slippery
TV. That was a
stairs.
good year.
Slippery stairs.
to get up to
It's-
vote.
Yeah. So it's a set of
All
stairs.
people are out of all of these ideas.
And they're drenched. They're drenched in oil, and you're wearing a suit, and you have to climb to the top to submit your vote.
What if you can only vote while you're sleeping? If you can realize you're dreaming, so it's only people that are able to tap into their
lucid dream?
lucid
Okay.
state.
Only
Lucid
lucid dream
dreamers
voting.
can
Yeah.
vote. I
And
think
we'll have
we'd
a-
end up with a really weird
a nation of weirdness.
electorate at that point.
Yeah, we need
be
that right
wacky.
now.
Pretty fun.
Some deep thinkers.
The harder it is to vote, the better off we are. Not in the terms of like making people do American Ninja Warrior.
You know what else you have though is you have a lot of stupid people who are poll workers. Have you ever seen this? I was trying to vote at one point in New York on Lower East Side, and I go in and I'm waiting in line, and the people in front of me. You don't need a voter ID in New York. That's just part of it. You don't even need to read or write to vote in New York. You can sign your name with an X if you have to. So that's just a law. So there was these ladies in front of me, and the poll workers were preventing them from voting. They were like, "You need to show your ID," and the ladies were like, speaking Spanish, we don't need to show our ID and all this stuff. And they were arguing, and they started turning the ladies away. And I was like, you guys, the law, they don't need ID to vote. What are you doing? How many people are you demanding ID from to vote?
Conservatives.
Who are you, who are you? These were not conservative women who were turning the Spanish women away. They were literally just stupid, and they didn't know how to do their job. They had been poorly trained.
Yeah.
They had no idea what was going on. It was sort of shocking to see how poorly trained the poll workers are at so many levels. That's why I don't always believe in conspiracies, because at so many levels, it's just straight up incompetence.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are
Layers and layers
What
of
if-
incompetence, like Biden's stupid social media person.
I figured it out.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone can vote, but your ballot is on a pedestal and it's in a room with like 15 dogs.
You know what it is? It's at the center
here's
of
the
the
thing.
labyrinth, and you have to
What
fight the
breed?
Minotaur.
Because if the dogs accept you, you must be a good person.
Are they all the same breed?
So dogs
just
decide who gets
That's
to
right.
vote.
Dogs do.
Which
And so if
kind
you
of
go
dogs?
in-
What kind of dogs?
all different
All
kinds.
different kinds.
Because
All
they know.
different kinds?
They know. You walk in
Are
your.
you allowed
and
to
you're-
bring a treat?
You're allowed
no.
to bring a steak. You have to like,
Around
and
your
then it would be
neck.
like, no. Then Kathy
Wait.
Hochul will deploy the National Guard
I
to
got a
search
better one.
voters for steaks.
You have to successfully give. There's 10 cats, and you have to
Yeah.
give at least 3 a belly rub successfully without getting clawed.
Without
and if you
getting
do,
scratched.
without getting scratched,
and we'll trust you with the military codes.
and then we'll try.
Yes.
Then you can vote.
Show some compassion, you
And
animal.
then everyone gets to watch to make sure. And the cats are all lying there with their paws up because everybody knows you go for the belly and they start going at you.
They
But
sure do.
if you're careful and the cats like you, they'll you know. you
That's
gotta know how
tough.
to
That
do it.
might be like running for president as the cat challenge. Maybe the dog one is for voting, and then but to run
In
for
order-
president, you
right.
gotta do the cats.
in front of a crowd of like 10,000 people.
On the debate stage.
Did you guys
Yeah,
ever,
yeah.
ever
Live,
watch
live.
Stan Lee's Superhumans? The Stan Lee, the guy from Marvel Comics.
Yeah,
used to do that.
and there was a guy who could give cats belly rubs.
Yeah, he
without
would
getting
go
scratched.
around and find these humans on Earth that had like bizarre powers. It's all on the internet. It's this show, Stanley Superhumans. One dude like magnetically put like a pot to his head. One guy could put animals to sleep. Like he would walk into a field and start waving his hand like this.
Animal whisperer.
and then all the animals one by one start to lay
That's
down.
Reiki, actually.
And the farmers
Yeah.
are like, we've never seen this before. And
That's
the guy's
called
just
Reiki.
like,
I've seen people do that.
he's doing the Zen
Crazy.
treatment.
Reiki
Yeah.
is wacky.
You know what
I've
I
had
think he
that
was
done
doing?
before. It's weird.
I think he was gassing them.
You got to check it out. It's so wild.
Do you ever watch
one by one they lay
you ever
down.
watch
He's drugging them?
You ever see the great
like
Randy? Serge, do you know who that is? The great Randy or whatever I think his name was. He would debunk these people claim they had magic powers.
Oh, it wasn't on British TV.
I don't know.
I don't remember anymore.
There was
I
a
don't
guy
know.
who claimed he had telekinesis and he could move a phone book page with his hand. He was just blowing on it.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, watch this. He goes like,
Dude.
Can he do anything else? Though I would ask immediately. I'm like,
and
"Do
so
something
then
else." Yeah.
I think his name was the Great Randy. He's like, I'm gonna put styrofoam packing peanuts around the phone book, and if you really are moving the page, these won't move at all. But if you're blowing on it, they'll all move. And then it's like, I can't do it now. And I'm like, that's really dumb, because if I was just blowing on it carefully, I would be like, that's not how energy works. Energy will move everything around it the same as, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then I would do it and they'd move and I'd be like, that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, blowing on a phone book page to make it spin or to turn is really dumb. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.